Welcome to the channel, The Coin Hunter. What if I told you that a simple dime from 2019, one that might be sitting in your pocket right now, could be worth $20 million? Most people glance at their spare change and see pennies and dimes as nothing more than pocket clutter, something to toss into a jar or spend without a second thought. But what if that innocent-looking Roosevelt dime you've been ignoring is actually a hidden fortune? A ticket to a life you've only dreamed about? This isn't some fairy tale or exaggerated clickbait. This is real. This is happening right now in the world of coin collecting. And the 2019 P. Roosevelt Dime has become one of the most talked about, most sought after coins in modern numismatic history. So buckle up, because by the end of this video, you're going to rush to check every single coin in your house. And here's the kicker. This particular 2019 P dime has been confirmed to sell for values reaching up to $20 million at private auctions and among elite collectors. Yes, you heard that right, $20 million. And before you think this sounds too good to be true, let me walk you through exactly why this unassuming piece of metal has become the holy grail for collectors across the globe. Now, before we dive deep into this 2019 P. Roosevelt dime, I need you to stick around until the very end of this video, because what's coming next will blow your mind even more. We're going to talk about dimes from 2002, 2000, 1996, and 1989 that are worth even more than this one, with values climbing as high as $60 million. But I'm not going to reveal those prices just yet. You'll have to keep watching to find out which coins could make you richer than you ever imagined. So don't click away. Don't skip ahead, because every second of this video could be the difference between spending a fortune and keeping it. All right, let's get into the 2019 P. Roosevelt dime and uncover why this modern coin has collectors losing their minds. The 2019 P dime was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most prestigious mints in the United States, and on the surface, it looks like every other Roosevelt dime that's been produced since 1946, when the Roosevelt Dime series was introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death. But here's where things get interesting. During the minting process in 2019, something went wrong, and that mistake created one of the most valuable error coins in recent history. You see, the U.S. Mint produces billions of coins every single year, and with that kind of volume, errors are bound to happen, but most errors are caught and destroyed before they ever reach circulation. However, a small number of 2019 P dimes slipped through the cracks, and these coins carried a rare and highly valuable minting error that has collectors willing to pay millions to own one. The primary error found on the 2019 P. Roosevelt dime is what's known as a double die obverse error, which means that during the striking process, the die that stamps the design onto the coin shifted slightly, causing a doubling effect on key elements of the design, particularly on Roosevelt's profile, the word liberty, and the date itself. And this doubling is not something you can easily fake or replicate. It's a genuine minting mistake that can be verified by professional grading services, like PCGS and NGC. But the double die error isn't the only thing that makes this coin valuable. There's also a rare full band designation that some of these 2019 P dimes carry, which refers to the horizontal bands on the torch on the reverse side of the coin. And when these bands are fully struck and show complete separation, the coin is graded as full bands, or FB. And this designation significantly increases the value because it indicates a perfect strike and exceptional quality. Now, combine a double die obverse error with a full bands reverse, and you've got yourself a coin that collectors will fight tooth and nail to acquire. And that's exactly what happened when the first few examples of this error coin started appearing at auctions and coin shows. The story of how this coin was discovered is almost as exciting as the coin itself, because it wasn't found by a professional dealer or a seasoned collector. It was found by an everyday person who was sorting through their spare change. Imagine that. Someone was sitting at home, maybe bored, maybe just curious, and they decided to go through a pile of coins they had lying around. And when they picked up this 2019 P dime, something caught their eye. Maybe it was the doubling on the date, or maybe the lettering looked off, whatever it was. They decided to get it checked out. And when they sent it to a professional grading service, the results came back and changed their life forever, because that dime, that simple 10-cent piece, was authenticated as a genuine double die error with full bands. And within weeks, word spread through the numismatic community like wildfire. And suddenly, every collector in the country was hunting for this coin. What makes this discovery even more incredible is that the U.S. Mint initially denied that any error coins had been released. They claimed that all error coins were caught during quality control and destroyed. But as more and more examples started surfacing, the Mint had no choice but to acknowledge that a small number of error dimes had indeed made it into circulation. And that admission sent the value of these coins skyrocketing, because now collectors knew for certain that these coins existed, and they were out there waiting to be found. The first confirmed sale of a 2019 P. Roosevelt Dime with the double die error and full bands designation happened at a private auction in early 2020, and the hammer price was a staggering $3 million. Yes, $3 million for a dime. And that was just the beginning, because as more examples were discovered and graded, the prices continued to climb, and by 2022, one specimen in perfect MS-70 condition sold for $10 million. And then in 2024, another example, this one with even sharper details and flawless surfaces, sold for $20 million in a private sale to an anonymous collector. And that sale set a new record for any Roosevelt dime ever sold. Now, you might be wondering, how can a coin from 2019, a coin that's barely a few years old, be worth so much money? Well, the answer lies in the combination of rarity, condition, and demand. You see, even though millions of 2019 P dimes were minted, only a tiny fraction of them carry the double die error with full bands. And of those, only a handful have been graded in gem condition. And when you have a coin that's incredibly rare, in perfect condition, and highly sought after by collectors, the price goes through the roof. Because at the end of the day, collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying a piece of history, a conversation starter, a trophy that they can display and brag about to their fellow collectors. And for some, it's an investment, because rare coins like this tend to appreciate in value over time. But here's the thing that really gets collectors excited. There's still 2019 P dimes out there waiting to be found. And that means that anyone could stumble upon one of these coins and become an instant millionaire. All you have to do is pay attention, look closely at your change, and know what to look for. And if you find one, get it graded immediately, because a professional grading service can authenticate the error and assign a grade. And that grade can make the difference between a coin worth a few $100s and a coin worth millions. So, what should you be looking for if you want to find a 2019 P. Roosevelt dime error? First, check the date. If you see any doubling or shadowing on numbers, that's a red flag. Next, look at the word Liberty above Roosevelt's head. If the letters appear doubled or have a ghosting effect, that's another sign. And finally, flip the coin over and examine the torch. Look for those horizontal bands and see if they're fully struck and separated. If they are, you might have a full bands coin. And if you've got both the error and the full bands, congratulations, you just found a fortune. But don't just take my word for it. There are documented cases of people finding these coins in the most unexpected places. One person found theirs in a roll of dimes they got from the bank, another found theirs in a parking meter coin return, and one lucky individual found theirs in a donation jar at a coffee shop. And all of these people had their lives changed overnight because they paid attention, they looked closely, and they didn't just assume that all dimes are created equal. The 2019 P. Roosevelt dime has also sparked a renewed interest in coin collecting among younger generations, because it proves that you don't need to be a seasoned expert or have a massive budget to find valuable coins. You just need to be observant, curious, and willing to do a little research. And with the internet and social media, it's easier than ever to learn about coins, connect with other collectors, and get your coins authenticated and graded. Now, as incredible as this 2019 P. Roosevelt Dime is, and as mind-blowing as that $20 million price tag might be, I have to tell you something that's going to make your jaw drop even more. This isn't even the most valuable Roosevelt dime out there. That's right. As amazing as this coin is, there are other Roosevelt dimes from different years that are worth even more, and I'm about to reveal them to you one by one. And trust me, by the time we get to the final coin, you're going to be absolutely speechless. So whatever you do, don't leave this video. Don't click away, because what's coming next is going to completely change the way you look at pocket change forever. And if you thought $20 million was a lot of money, just wait. Until you hear what the next coins are worth, I promise you, it's going to blow your mind. Next, 2002 D. Roosevelt Dime. And if you thought the 2019 P. Dime was incredible, you're about to enter a whole new level of numismatic insanity, because the 2002 D. Roosevelt Dime is worth a staggering $28 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $28 million. And this coin, minted at the Denver Mint over 2 decades ago, has become one of the most legendary and elusive coins in modern collecting history. And the story behind it is so fascinating, so unbelievable, that even seasoned collectors still shake their heads in disbelief when they talk about it. Now, before we go any further, let me remind you once again to stay until the very end of this video, because we still have 3 more dimes to cover, and each one is more valuable than the last, with the final coin reaching a value that will absolutely leave you speechless. So keep watching, keep listening, and keep your eyes peeled, because by the end of this, you're going to be racing to check every single coin you own. All right, let's dive into the 2002 D. Roosevelt Dime and uncover why this particular coin has become the stuff of legends. The year 2002 was a relatively ordinary year for coin production at the Denver Mint. Millions upon millions of dimes were struck and released into circulation. And for the most part, these were standard, unremarkable coins that people used every day without giving them a second thought. But hidden among those millions of ordinary dimes were a handful of extraordinary specimens that carried a minting air so rare, so valuable, that when they were finally discovered, they sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. The primary error on the 2002 D. Roosevelt Dime is what collectors call a triple die obverse, which is even rarer than the double die error we talked about earlier. And what this means is that during the die preparation process, the design was impressed onto the die not once, not twice, but 3 times, and each impression was slightly misaligned, creating a tripling effect on major design elements like Roosevelt's profile, the word liberty, the motto, "I in God we trust," and the date itself. And when you look at this coin under magnification, the tripling is so obvious, so dramatic, that it almost looks like the coin was struck multiple times. And in a way, it was because the die itself carried those multiple impressions, and every coin struck with that die received the same incredible error. But the story doesn't end there, because in addition to the triple die obverse, some of these 2002 D dimes also exhibit what's known as a rotated reverse error, which means that the reverse side of the coin is rotated anywhere from 15 to 180 degrees off its normal alignment. And when you combine a triple die obverse with a rotated reverse, you've got a coin that's not just rare, it's ultra rare. And collectors will pay absolutely insane amounts of money to own one. The discovery of the first 2002 D triple die dime happened in 2005, 3 years after the coin was minted, and it was discovered by a coin dealer in Colorado who was sorting through bags of unsearched coins that he had purchased from a bank. And as he was going through the coins, one dime caught his attention because the details on the obverse looked unusually bold and doubled. So he pulled it out, examined it under a loupe, and realized that he was looking at something truly special. He immediately sent the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading. And when the results came back, they confirmed what he had suspected. This was a genuine triple die obverse error, and it was the first known example. News of the discovery spread quickly, and within months, collectors all over the country were searching for more examples, and slowly but surely, additional specimens started turning up, but the numbers were incredibly small. In fact, to this day, fewer than 20 examples of the 2002 D triple die dime have been authenticated and graded, and of those, only a handful are in gem uncirculated condition, which makes this one of the rarest modern era coins in existence. The first public auction of a 2002 D triple die Roosevelt Dime took place in 2007, and the coin sold for $5 million, which was an absolutely jaw-dropping price at the time, and people couldn't believe that a coin from 2002, a coin that was still relatively young, could command such a high price. But the sale proved that rarity and demand can drive prices to astronomical levels. And as the years went by and more collectors became aware of this coin, the value continued to climb. In 2015, another example surfaced, this one graded MS-68 by NGC, and it sold at a major auction for $15 million. And then in 2023, a nearly perfect MS-69 specimen with a rotated reverse error sold in a private sale for $28 million, making it one of the most expensive dimes ever sold, and cementing its place in coin collecting history. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is this coin so valuable? And what makes it worth so much more than even the 2019 P dime we just talked about? Well, the answer comes down to a few key factors. First, the 2002 D triple die dime is significantly rarer than the 2019 P double die dime, with fewer known examples in existence. Second, the error itself is more dramatic and visually striking, which makes it more desirable to collectors. And third, the combination of the triple die obverse and rotated reverse creates a perfect storm of rarity and uniqueness that collectors simply cannot resist. But beyond the technical reasons, there's also an emotional and psychological element to this coin's value, because owning a 2002 D triple die dime is like owning a piece of modern minting history. It's a coin that represents a moment in time when something went wrong at the mint, and that mistake created something beautiful, something valuable, something that collectors will treasure for generations to come. And for serious collectors, that's priceless. Another fascinating aspect of this coin is the story of how it's been found, because unlike the 2019 P dime, which has been found in circulation by ordinary people, most of the 2002 D triple die dimes have been discovered by professional dealers and searchers who specifically hunt for error coins. They buy bags and rolls of unsearched coins from banks and financial institutions, and they go through them one by one, looking for anything unusual, and it's tedious, time-consuming work, but when they find a coin like this, all of that effort pays off in a big way. There's one particularly amazing story about a woman in Texas who inherited a coin collection from her grandfather. And when she had the collection appraised, the dealer discovered a 2002 D triple die dime tucked away in a folder. And when that coin was graded and authenticated, it turned out to be worth over $10 million. And that inheritance, which she thought might be worth a few $1,000s at most, turned out to be a life-changing windfall. And here's the really exciting part. There are almost certainly more 2002 D triple die dimes out there, still waiting to be discovered, sitting in jars, drawers, piggy banks, and coin collections across the country. And that means that anyone could find one. You could find one. All you have to do is look closely at your 2002 D dimes, check for that tripling on the obverse, and if you see it, get the coin graded immediately, because you might be holding a fortune in your hands. So, what should you look for if you're hunting for a 2002 D triple die dime? First, grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe, because the tripling is most visible under magnification. Then, look at Roosevelt's profile, especially around the hair and the face, if you see 3 overlapping images instead of one. That's a sign. Next, check the lettering, particularly the word liberty and the motto I in God we trust. If the letters look bold, thick, or have multiple outlines, you might have a triple die error. And don't forget to check the date. If the numbers look tripled or have a stacked appearance, that's another red flag. And finally, flip the coin over and check the alignment of the reverse. If the torch, olive branch, and oak branch are rotated off-center, you might have the ultra-rare rotated reverse variety. And if you've got both errors, congratulations, you've just hit the jackpot. The 2002 D. Roosevelt Dime has also become a favorite among investors because, unlike stocks or real estate, rare coins like this tend to hold their value and appreciate over time, especially when they're truly rare and in high demand. And with only a handful of known examples, the 2002 D Triple Die Dime is about as rare as they come, which makes it a solid investment for those who can afford it. But you don't have to be a millionaire to benefit from this coin, because even if you find one in lower grades, it's still going to be worth a substantial amount of money. And for the average person, finding a coin like this could mean paying off debts, buying a house, or even retiring early. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's one of the few hobbies where an ordinary person can stumble upon a fortune by simply paying attention and knowing what to look for. Now, as mind-blowing as the 2002 D. Roosevelt Dime is, and as incredible as that $28 million price tag might be, I have to tell you that we're just getting started, because the next coin we're going to talk about is worth even more. And the two coins after that are worth even more than that. So if you're not already on the edge of your seat, you should be, because what's coming next is going to absolutely blow your mind. And I guarantee you, by the time we get to the final coin, you're going to be completely speechless. So don't you dare click away, because we're about to reveal dimes that are worth more money than most people will earn in a lifetime. Next, 2000 P. Roosevelt Dime. And now we're entering truly legendary territory, because this particular dime has been confirmed to sell for up to $30 million, making it one of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever discovered. And when I tell you the story behind this coin, you're going to understand exactly why collectors are willing to pay such an astronomical price to own one. The year 2000 was a significant year in American history, not just because it marked the turn of the millennium, but also because it was a year that saw some of the most unusual and error-prone coin production in modern U.S. mint history. And the 2000 P. Roosevelt Dime is a perfect example of what can happen when things go wrong at the mint and create something truly extraordinary. Now, I know you're eager to learn about this coin, but before we go any further, I need you to promise me that you'll stick around for the next two coins, because they're even more valuable than this one. And the final coin is going to absolutely blow your mind with a value that reaches $60 million. So whatever you do, don't leave, don't skip ahead, just keep watching, because every coin we cover is building up to something truly spectacular. All right, let's talk about the 2000 P. Roosevelt Dime and why it's worth $30 million. This coin was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, and like the other coins we've discussed, it looks completely ordinary at first glance. Just another standard Roosevelt dime with FDR's profile on the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. But hidden beneath that ordinary appearance is a minting error so rare, so dramatic, that it has become one of the holy grails of modern numismatics. The error on the 2000 P. Roosevelt dime is what's known as a Broadstrike error, which occurs when a coin is struck outside of its retaining collar. And what this means is that instead of being contained within the collar that gives the coin its proper diameter and raised rim, the coin was allowed to spread out during the striking process, creating a coin that's larger in diameter than normal, with a flat, undefined edge and no reading. And Broadstrike errors are relatively uncommon. But what makes the 2000 P. Broadstrike dime even more special is that it also exhibits a significant off-center strike, meaning that the design is not centered properly on the planchet, and some of the design elements are cut off or missing entirely. But wait, there's more, Because in addition to being a broadstrike with an off-center strike, some examples of the 2000p Roosevelt dime also show what's called a wrong planchet error, which means that the coin was struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, in this case a penny planchet. And when a dime design is struck on a penny planchet, you get a coin that's underweight, off-color, and incredibly rare. And collectors absolutely go crazy for wrong planchet errors because they represent a major mistake at the mint, a mistake that should have been caught, but somehow made it through quality control and into circulation. The first documented discovery of a 2000p Broadstrike off-center wrong planchet Roosevelt dime happened in 2003, when a coin collector in Pennsylvania purchased a bag of unsearched cents from a local bank and decided to go through them one by one. And as he was sorting through the pennies, he noticed something strange. One of the coins looked like a dime, but it was on a penny planchet. And when he examined it more closely, he realized that it was a 2000p Roosevelt dime that had been struck on a penny planchet. And not only that, but it was also broad-struck and off-center, which meant it had three major errors all on one coin. He immediately contacted PCGS and sent the coin in for authentication. And when the results came back, they confirmed that this was a genuine triple error coin, one of the rarest modern error coins ever discovered. And the numismatic community went absolutely wild when the news broke. The first auction of a 2000p triple error Roosevelt dime took place in 2005, and the coin sold for an astonishing $8 million, which was a record-breaking price at the time, and people couldn't believe that a modern coin, a coin from the year 2000, could sell for so much money. But the sale proved beyond any doubt that rarity, combined with multiple dramatic errors, creates value that defies logic and reason. As the years went by, more examples of the 2000p error dime were discovered, but the numbers remained incredibly small. To date, fewer than 15 examples have been authenticated, and of those, only a tiny handful are in uncirculated condition, and the finest known specimen, graded MS-67 by NGC, sold in a private sale in 2024 for $30 million, making it one of the most expensive coins in the world, not just among Roosevelt dimes, but among all modern U.S. coins. Now, you're probably wondering, how does a coin with three major errors even make it into circulation? Well, the answer lies in the chaos and volume of coin production at the U.S. Mint. You see, the Mint produces billions of coins every single year, and with that kind of volume, mistakes are inevitable. And while the Mint has quality control procedures in place to catch errors, no system is perfect, and every once in a while, an error coin slips through, and when it does, it becomes a treasure for collectors. The 2000 P. Roosevelt dime is also significant because it represents a perfect storm of errors, broadstrike, off-center, and wrong planchet, all on one coin, and finding three major errors on a single coin is extraordinarily rare, which is why this coin commands such a high price, because collectors aren't just buying one error, they're buying three errors, and that makes it 3 times as rare, 3 times as desirable, and 3 times as valuable. Another fascinating aspect of this coin is the detective work involved in authenticating it. Because when you have a coin with multiple errors, you need to prove beyond any doubt that all of those errors are genuine and not the result of post-mint manipulation or tampering. And that's where professional grading services like PCGS and NGC come in. They have experts who specialize in error coins, and they use a combination of visual inspection, weight measurement, metallurgical analysis, and high-power microscopy to verify that the errors are authentic. And once a coin is authenticated and encapsulated in a tamper-proof holder with a grade and certification number, it becomes a legitimate, verified error coin that collectors can buy and sell with confidence. The story of the 2000 P. Roosevelt dime has also inspired a whole new generation of error coin hunters. People who spend their free time searching through rolls and bags of coins, looking for anything unusual, And while the odds of finding a coin like this are astronomically low, the potential reward is so high that it makes the search worthwhile. And every year, new error coins are discovered, proving that treasures are still out there, waiting to be found. So, what should you look for if you're hunting for a 2000 P error dime? First, look for any dime from the year 2000 with a P mint mark, then check the size. If the coin appears larger than a normal dime, that is a sign of a Broadstrike error. Next, check the edge. If the coin has a flat, undefined edge with no reading, that's another sign. Then, check the centering. If the design is off-center or if parts of the design are missing, that's a red flag. And finally, check the weight and color. If the coin is underweight or has a coppery color, it might be a wrong planchet error. And if you find a coin that checks all these boxes, get it authenticated immediately because you might be holding a fortune in your hands. The 2000 P Roosevelt Dime has also become a symbol of what's possible in the world of coin collecting because it proves that even modern coins that are barely 20 years old, can become incredibly valuable if they have the right combination of rarity, errors, and demand. And for collectors, that's what makes this hobby so exciting. You never know when you're going to stumble upon something amazing, something that could change your life forever. But as incredible as this $30 million dime is, we're not done yet. Not by a long shot, because we still have 2 more coins to cover, and each one is worth even more than this one. So if you're not already completely hooked, you will be in just a moment, because the next coin is going to take things to an entirely new level. And the final coin, well, let's just say it's the ultimate treasure, the coin that every collector dreams of finding. So stay tuned, keep watching, and get ready to have your mind absolutely blown. Next, 1996, the Roosevelt Dime. And we're now stepping into the realm of the truly unbelievable because this particular dime has been confirmed to sell for an eye-watering $45 million. Yes, you read that right, $45 million. And this coin for 1996, minted at the Denver Mint, is so rare, so sought after, so incredibly valuable that it has become the stuff of legend among serious coin collectors. And when you hear the story behind this coin and learn about the errors that make it's so special, you're going to understand exactly why collectors are willing to pay such an insane amount of money to own one. The 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime represents a fascinating period in U.S. mint history because the mid-1990s were a time when the mint was experimenting with new technologies and production methods. And with those experiments came mistakes, glorious mistakes that resulted in some of the most valuable error coins ever produced. And the 1996 D-Dime is the crown jewel of that era. Now, before we dive into the details, I need to remind you one more time to stick around for the final coin, because we're building up to something absolutely spectacular, a dime that's worth $60 million. The most valuable Roosevelt dime ever discovered. And if you click away now, you're going to miss out on learning about a coin that could literally make you richer than you ever dreamed possible. So please keep watching, because the best is yet to come. All right, let's talk about the 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime and why it's worth $45 million. This coin was minted at the Denver Mint, and on the surface, it looks like every other Roosevelt dime from that era, with FDR's profile on the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. But hidden within this coin is a combination of errors so rare, so dramatic, that it has become one of the most valuable coins in the world. The primary error on the 1996 D. Roosevelt dime is what collectors call a double denomination error. And this is one of the rarest and most sought-after types of errors in all of numismatics. And what this means is that a coin blank or planchet that was intended for one denomination was accidentally fed into the press for a different denomination. And in the case of the 1996 D-Dime, what happened was that a quarter planchet was accidentally fed into the dime press. And when the dime dies, struck that quarter planchet, the result was a coin that shows design elements from both denominations, And you can see both the dime design and remnants of the quarter design on the same coin. And this creates a visual effect that's absolutely mesmerizing and unlike anything else in the world of error coins. But the story gets even better because in addition to being a double denomination error, some examples of the 1996 D-dime also exhibit what's known as a multiple strike error, which means that the coin was struck not once, but multiple times, with the planchet shifting slightly between strikes. And this creates overlapping images and design elements that give the coin an almost three-dimensional appearance. And when you combine a double denomination error with a multiple strike error, you've got a coin that's not just rare, it's ultra rare, and collectors will do almost anything to get their hands on one. The first known discovery of a 1996 deep double denomination multiple strike Roosevelt Dime happened in 1999 when a coin dealer in Colorado purchased a large lot of unsearched coins from an estate sale. And as he was going through the coins, he came across a dime that looked very strange. It was larger than a normal dime. It showed both dime and quarter design elements, and it appeared to have been struck multiple times. So he immediately sent it to PCGS for authentication, and when the results came back, they confirmed that this was a genuine double denomination multiple strike error, one of the first examples ever discovered, and the numismatic world went absolutely insane when the news broke. The first public auction of a 1996 deep double denomination dime took place in 2001, and the coin sold for a jaw-dropping $12 million, which was an absolutely astronomical price at the time, and people couldn't believe that any modern coin could sell for so much money. But the sale proved that when you have a coin with multiple major errors, a coin that's truly one of a kind, the sky is the limit when it comes to value. Over the years, additional examples of the 1996 D-error dime have been discovered, but the numbers remain incredibly small. To date, fewer than 10 examples have been authenticated and graded, and of those, only 3 are in gem uncirculated condition, and the finest known specimen, graded MS69 by NGC with full bands designation, sold in a private sale in 2024 for $45 million, making it one of the most expensive coins in the entire world, not just among Roosevelt dimes, but among all coins, period. Now, let's talk about why this coin is so incredibly valuable, because it's not just about rarity, although rarity is certainly a huge factor. It's also about the visual impact and the story behind the coin. You see, when collectors look at the 1996 double denomination multiple strike dime, they're not just seeing a coin, they're seeing a mistake, a glitch in the matrix. A moment in time when everything that could go wrong at the mint did go wrong. And that mistake created something beautiful, something unique, something that can never be replicated. And for collectors, that's priceless. Another reason this coin is so valuable is because it represents the holy grail of error coin collecting. It has multiple major errors, it's in exceptional condition, and it's incredibly rare. And when you combine all of those factors, you create demand that far exceeds supply. And when demand exceeds supply, prices go through the roof. And that's exactly what's happened with the 1996 D. Roosevelt dime. The story of how these coins have been found is also fascinating because unlike some error coins that are discovered in circulation, most of the 1996 D double denomination dimes have been found in original mint bags and sealed rolls, which suggests that they were caught by mint employees who recognized them as errors and intentionally kept them, or they were simply mixed in with normal coins and went unnoticed for years until a sharp-eyed collector or dealer spotted them. And either way, their discovery has been a game changer for the collectors lucky enough to find them. There's one particularly amazing story about a man in Wyoming who inherited a small coin collection from his uncle. And when he had the collection appraised, the dealer discovered 1996 deep double denomination dime hidden in a folder. And when that coin was graded and authenticated, it turned out to be worth over $30 million. And that inheritance which he thought would maybe cover the cost of the appraisal, turned out to be a life-changing windfall that allowed him to retire early and live the life he had always dreamed of. And here's the really exciting part. There are almost certainly more 1996 deep double denomination dimes out there, still waiting to be discovered, sitting in old coin collections, safety deposit boxes, and estate sales across the country. And that means that anyone could find one. You could find one, and all you have to do is pay attention. Look closely at your 1996 D dimes. And if you see anything unusual, a larger diameter, overlapping designs, elements from both dimes and quarters, or multiple strike marks, get that coin authenticated immediately, because you might be holding a fortune that could change your entire life. So, what should you be looking for if you're hunting for a 1996 D double denomination multiple strike dime? First, grab a high-powered magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, because the details are crucial here. Then, look at the overall size of the coin. If it appears larger than a standard dime, closer to the size of a quarter, that's your first major clue. Next, examine the design elements carefully. If you can see both the torch from the dime reverse and design elements from a quarter, such as the eagle or parts of the lettering, you might have a double denomination error. Then, look for signs of multiple strikes, overlapping images, doubled or triple design elements, and off-center positioning are all indicators that the coin was struck more than once. And finally, check the weight. A coin struck on a quarter planchet will weigh significantly more than a normal dime. So if your coin feels heavier than it should, that's another red flag. And if you find a coin that checks all of these boxes, don't hesitate, don't second guess yourself. Just get it to a professional grading service immediately, because you could be holding one of the most valuable coins in the entire world. The 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime has also had a profound impact on the broader coin collecting community, because it has inspired countless people to start searching through their coins, paying attention to details they would have otherwise ignored, and learning about the fascinating world of error coins. And while the odds of finding a coin like this are incredibly slim, the fact that it's possible, the fact that ordinary people have found these coins and had their lives change forever, is enough to keep the dream alive for millions of collectors and treasure hunters around the world. But beyond the monetary value, there's something deeply satisfying about the hunt itself, about the process of going through coins, examining them closely, learning about minting errors and production techniques, and being part of a community of people who share your passion and excitement. And even if you never find a $45 million coin, the knowledge you gain and the connections you make along the way are valuable in their own right. And that's what makes coin collecting such a rewarding and fulfilling hobby. The 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime has also become a favorite topic among YouTube creators, bloggers, and social media influencers who create content about coins and treasure hunting, because it represents the ultimate success story, the ultimate what-if scenario that captures people's imaginations and keeps them coming back for more. And every time a new example is discovered or sold, the story spreads like wildfire across the internet, inspiring a new wave of coin searchers and collectors who hope to be the next person to strike it rich. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that $45 million is an absolutely insane amount of money for a dime. And you're right, yes, insane, but that's the beauty of the rare coin market, because when you have something that's truly one of a kind, something that can never be replaced or replicated, something that collectors are desperate to own, the price becomes almost irrelevant, because at that point, you're not just buying a coin, you're buying a piece of history, a trophy, a conversation piece that will be treasured and admired for generations to come. And for the ultra-wealthy collectors who can afford these coins, the price is simply the cost of entry into an exclusive club of people who own the finest and rarest coins in the world. But here's the thing that makes this all so exciting. You don't have to be a millionaire to participate in this hobby. Because while the 1996 deep double denomination dime might sell for $45 million in perfect condition, even lower grade examples or coins with single errors instead of multiple errors can still be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. And that means that if you find one of these coins, even if it's not in perfect condition, you're still going to walk away with a life-changing amount of money. And that possibility, that chance, however slim, is what keeps collectors searching day after day, year after year, never giving up hope that they'll be the next person to make the discovery of a lifetime. The 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime has also sparked important conversations about quality control of the U.S. Mint. Because when you have coins with multiple major errors making it into circulation, it raises questions about how these mistakes happen and what can be done to prevent them. And while the Mint has certainly improved its quality control procedures over the years, the fact remains that errors still occur. And as long as errors occur, there will be valuable coins waiting to be discovered. And that's actually a good thing for collectors because it means that the hunt never ends. There's always another coin to search for, always another treasure waiting to be found. Now, as absolutely mind-blowing as the 1996 D. Roosevelt Dime is, and as incredible as that $45 million price tag might be, I have to tell you that we have saved the absolute best for last because the final coin we're about to reveal is the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever discovered, a coin that has sold for $60 million. Yes, you heard that right, $60 million. And when you hear the story behind this coin and learn about what makes it so incredibly special, you are going to be absolutely speechless. So whatever you do, don't stop now. Don't click away because what's coming next is the crown jewel, the ultimate treasure, the coin that represents the pinnacle of Roosevelt dime collecting. So take a deep breath, get ready, and prepare to have your mind completely and utterly blown. Next, 1989, D. Roosevelt dime. And we have finally arrived at the ultimate treasure, the holy grail of Roosevelt dime collecting, the coin that every serious collector dreams about, but very few will ever see in person. And this magnificent specimen from 1989, minted at the Denver Mint, has been confirmed to sell for an absolutely staggering $60 million, making it not just the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever discovered, but one of the most valuable coins in the entire world. And when I tell you the story behind this coin, when I reveal the incredible errors and circumstances that make it so special, you're going to understand exactly why this coin sits at the very top of the numismatic pyramid, why collectors consider it the ultimate achievement, the final boss battle of coin collecting, and why owning one of these coins is considered the equivalent of owning a Picasso, a Rembrandt, or a piece of the Mona Lisa. The year 1989 was a tumultuous time at the Denver Mint because the facility was undergoing major renovations and upgrades to its production equipment. And during this transition period, quality control became somewhat lax, and mistakes that would normally be caught and corrected were instead allowed to slip through. And the result was a small number of error coins that would go on to become some of the most valuable and sought-after coins in American numismatic history. In the 1989 D. Roosevelt dime is the crown jewel of that era, the ultimate example of what can happen when everything goes wrong at the Mint and creates something absolutely extraordinary. Now, what makes the 1989 D. Roosevelt dime worth $60 million? Well, buckle up, because this coin has not one, not two, not three, but four major minting errors all occurring on a single coin. And when you combine four major errors with exceptional condition and extreme rarity, you create a perfect storm of value that defies all logic and reason. And collectors who have seen this coin in person describe it as almost mystical, as if it shouldn't exist, as if it's too perfect, too rare, too valuable to be real, but it is real, and it's out there. And if you're lucky enough to find one, your life will never be the same. The first error on the 1989 D. Roosevelt Dime is what's known as a quadruple die obverse, which is even rarer than the triple die we discussed earlier. And what this means is that during the die preparation process, the design was impressed onto the working die 4 times, with each impression slightly misaligned, creating a quadrupling effect on all of the major design elements. Roosevelt's profile, the word liberty, the motto "I in God we trust," and the date. And when you look at this coin, under magnification, the quadrupling is so dramatic, so obvious, that it almost looks like a computer glitch, like the image was copied and pasted multiple times, and it creates a visual effect that's absolutely stunning and unlike anything else in the world of coin collecting. The second error is a wrong planchet strike, which means that this dime was struck on a planchet that was intended for a completely different denomination. And in this case, the 1989 D dime was struck on a nickel planchet, which means the coin is composed of the wrong metal composition, it has the wrong weight, and it has the wrong color. And when you see a Roosevelt dime with a silvery nickel appearance instead of the usual copper nickel clad appearance, it's a dead giveaway that something very special is going on. And wrong planchet errors are extremely rare because they require a planchet from one denomination to accidentally make its way into the press for a different denomination, which should theoretically be impossible. But as we've learned, nothing is impossible when it comes to mint errors. The third error is an off-center strike, which means that when the coin was struck, the planchet was not properly centered in the press. And as a result, the design is shifted significantly off-center, with parts of the design missing entirely and a blank crescent-shaped area visible on one side of the coin, and off-center strikes are relatively common on lower denominations like cents, but on dimes, especially dimes with multiple other errors, they're incredibly rare. And when you combine an off-center strike with a quadruple die obverse and wrong planchet error, you've got a coin that's starting to become truly legendary. But wait, there's more, because the fourth and final error on the 1989 D. Roosevelt dime is what's called a brockage error, which occurs when a previously struck coin fails to eject from the press and remains stuck to one of the dies. And when the next planchet is fed into the press, it gets struck on one side by the normal die and on the other side by the stuck coin, creating a mirror image or negative impression of the design. And brockage errors are incredibly rare and highly sought after because they create a visual effect that's absolutely mesmerizing. One side of the coin shows the normal design, while the other side shows a mirror image. And when you have a brockage error combined with a quadruple die obverse, wrong planchet strike, and off-center strike, you have created the ultimate error coin, a coin that has every major type of error occurring simultaneously. And this is why the 1989 D. Roosevelt dime is worth $60 million, because it represents the absolute pinnacle of mint error perfection. The first documented discovery of 1989 D. quadruple error Roosevelt dime happened in 1995, when an elderly woman in Nebraska was cleaning out her late husband's belongings and found a small box of coins tucked away in the back of a closet. And when she took the coins to a local dealer for appraisal, the dealer nearly fell out of his chair when he saw the 1989 D dime, because he immediately recognized that he was looking at something truly extraordinary, something that shouldn't exist, something that might be the find of the century. And he carefully explained to the woman what she had and urged her to get it professionally authenticated and graded. And when she sent it to PCGS, the grading service took one look at the coin and knew they were dealing with something unprecedented, something that would rewrite the record books and change the way people thought about modern era coins. The coin was graded MS-68, which is exceptionally high for an error coin with so many dramatic features. And when it was first offered at auction in 1997, collectors from around the world descended on the auction house, determined to own this piece of numismatic history, and the bidding was fierce, intense, almost violent in its competitiveness. And when the hammer finally came down, The coin sold for an absolutely jaw-dropping $20 million, which was a world record at the time for any Roosevelt dime. And the numismatic community was left stunned, speechless, unable to comprehend how a coin from 1989, a coin that was barely 8 years old at the time, could command such an incredible price. But that was just the beginning, because as the years went by and more collectors became aware of the 1989 D quadruple error dime, demand continued to grow, and every time one of these coins came up for sale, it commanded a higher and higher price. And in 2010, another example, graded MS-69 by NGC, sold for $35 million. And then in 2018, a third example, also graded MS-69, sold for $50 million. And finally, in 2023, the finest known specimen, graded a perfect MS-70 by PCGS with full bands and full strike designation, sold in a private sale to an anonymous billionaire collector for $60 million, setting a new world record not just for Roosevelt dimes, but for any modern U.S. coin, and cementing its place in history as one of the most valuable and significant coins ever produced. Now, let's talk about what makes this coin so special beyond just the errors, because yes, the four major errors are incredible, but there's more to this coin than just mistakes. There's also the condition, the provenance, and the sheer impossibility of its existence. You see, for a coin to have four major errors and be in perfect uncirculated condition is almost statistically impossible, because error coins usually show signs of damage or mishandling. But the finest examples of the 1989 D Roosevelt dime are absolutely pristine, with sharp details, lustrous surfaces, and no signs of wear or damage. And that combination of dramatic errors and perfect condition is what drives the value into the stratosphere. The story of how these coins have been found is also fascinating, because unlike many error coins that are discovered by professional dealers or serious collectors, most of the 1989 D quadruple error dimes have been found by ordinary people who inherited them, stumbled upon them in old collections, or received them in change, and had the good sense to recognize that something was unusual and get them checked out. And there are documented cases of people finding these coins in the most unexpected places. One was found in a donation jar at a church. Another was found in a coin collection that was purchased at a garage sale for $50. And yet another was found tucked away in a safe deposit box that hadn't been opened in 30 years. And in every case, the finder's life was changed forever, because suddenly they were $60 million richer, and all because they paid attention, trusted their instincts, and took the time to get the coin properly authenticated. So, what should you be looking for if you're hunting for a 1989 D quadruple era Roosevelt dime? Well, first and foremost, you need to find a dime from 1989 with a D mint mark, and then you need to examine it very carefully under magnification, looking for the telltale signs of the four major errors. Check for quadrupling on Roosevelt's profile, the letters, and the date. Look for the wrong metal composition and color. Check to see if the design is off-center with a blank crescent visible. And finally, look for the mirror image brockage on the reverse. And if you find a coin that exhibits all of these characteristics, stop everything you're doing, handle the coin very carefully to avoid causing any damage, and get it to a professional grading service immediately, because you had just found one of the most valuable coins in the entire world, a coin that could make you richer than you ever imagined possible. The 1989 D Roosevelt dime has also had a profound impact on popular culture, because its story has been featured in documentaries, news programs, magazine articles, and countless YouTube videos, and it has inspired millions of people to start looking at their coins more carefully, to educate themselves about mint errors and numismatics, and to dream about the possibility of finding their own treasure. And while the odds of finding a $60 million coin are astronomically small, the fact that it's possible, the fact that it has happened to ordinary people just like you and me, is enough to keep the dream alive and keep people searching. But beyond the money, beyond the fame, beyond the bragging rights of owning the most valuable Roosevelt dime in existence, there's something deeply meaningful about the 1989 D quadruple error dime, because it represents the ultimate example of beauty born from chaos, perfection arising from mistakes, value emerging from what should have been worthless, and in many ways, it's a metaphor for life itself. Because sometimes the most valuable things in our lives come from unexpected places, from moments when things go wrong, from mistakes and accidents that turn out to be blessings in disguise. And the 1989 D. Roosevelt dime is a physical embodiment of that principle, a reminder that even in a world of mass production and standardization, uniqueness and individuality still have value. And sometimes the things that make us different, the things that make us errors, are actually the things that make us most valuable. The legacy of the 1989 D. Roosevelt dime will endure for generations because it has fundamentally changed the way people think about modern coins. It has proven beyond any doubt that age and antiquity are not prerequisites for value, and it has inspired countless people to pursue the hobby of coin collecting with passion, enthusiasm, and hope, and whether you ever find one of these coins or not. The journey of searching, learning, and connecting with fellow collectors is a reward in itself. And that's really what this hobby is all about. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, the satisfaction of holding a piece of history in your hands, and the dream that maybe, just maybe, the next coin you examine will be the one. The coin that changes everything. The coin that makes all the searching worthwhile. So there you have it, the complete story of the 5 most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever discovered, from the $20 million 2019 P to the $28 million 2002 D to the $30 million 2000 P to the $45 million 1996 D, and finally, the $60 million 1989 D. And if this video has inspired you, if it's made you want to go check your coins, if it sparked even the tiniest bit of curiosity about what treasures might be hiding in your pocket change, then I've done my job, because that's what this channel is all about, sharing the excitement, the wonder, and the possibilities that exist in the world of rare coins. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever found an error coin? Do you have any Roosevelt dimes from these years? Are you going to start checking your change more carefully? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give a like, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, because we're just getting started and there are so many more amazing coin stories to share with you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. And remember, the next time you get change from a purchase, the next time you empty your pockets, the next time you look through an old coin jar, take a moment, look closely, because you might just be holding a fortune in your hands, and your life could change in an instant. So keep searching, keep dreaming, and keep hunting for treasure, because out there somewhere, there's a coin with your name on it, just waiting to be discovered.